What up? Welcome back to the Craft Beer Playbook. It's episode 3, and we're going to hit up Coppertail Brewery over in the Ybor area. And obviously, we got some big football games. We're down to 4 teams now in the NFL for the AFC and NFC title games. Zach here.
Brian's here.
We skipped that last week. We just assumed everybody knew our names.
We're big time now. 3 episodes in, everyone should know who we are.
We don't even have to say the names anymore. Yeah, but we're excited to jump into these last 4 games, and we'll certainly break it down AFC and NFC, and we're going to talk a lot about Coppertail, which is a brewery we've probably been to
a bunch of times.
I don't even know if we can count. I mean, it's definitely over 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and
really,
it grow
really
too.
enjoy
I mean, it's over the years of us been going there, and you know they got the different events they do there now, and it's huge. You know,
I think our high school reunion was there upstairs. But we didn't go. We didn't go.
Well, we missed out on some good beer then.
Yeah, I mean, we go back. We went by ourselves to drink the beer like the next day or something. Right. No, we did. Anyways, I digress. Don't forget to follow us on all the social channels at the Craft Beer Playbook on Facebook and Instagram, at Beer Playbook on Twitter, and you can also go to the website, thecraftbeerplaybook.com. Good news for everybody watching. We are podcasted now, so if you want to catch us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you get podcasts, you can do that. So just search the Craft Beer Playbook. It should pop right up for you, and you should be able to listen to the full episode. So if you're traveling or you just want to download
listen to it on the way to the brewery while you're going to grab some beer, you know?
Right. Probably not as, it's probably safer than watching these videos as you're driving.
Yeah, exactly.
So
just download it, listen to it.
100%, and rate it. Yeah, subscribe and definitely rate it 5 stars, hopefully, if you are doing that. And don't forget, we're on, speaking of ratings, Untapped. We've been starting to get into that more and more. Mm-hmm. So at the Craft Beer Playbook on there as well. And we're always looking for ideas and new breweries, new beers to try. So we're very open to anything you might think. I know our guy Sarasota Hazy on Instagram sent us some good brew from Calusa.
Shout out. We're going to be doing Calusa next week.
Next Thursday,
Shout out to Sarasota Hazy. And I'm going to shout him again when we do that episode, but he's got a pretty cool business. He does custom mosaic. And actually, if you go and you look at his company page, which is Southwest Rock.
Isn't that a type of hop too? Isn't there mosaic hops?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think he drinks mosaic hopped beer while he does mosaic?
That's what I want to end up asking him, is which one came first, right? His
the chicken or the
taste
egg
of mosaic hops, or his talent for a custom mosaic. But no, he did. I did like a design I saw on his Instagram page for Calusa Brewery. So I don't know if it's there or not at the brewery, but it's awesome. So
we'll do more Calusa Brewing next week again. And if anybody else wants to send us brew, we will never turn it down.
Never.
We were also, just to kind of give you guys a little teaser, and gals, we're doing it. We're setting up an event with Seventh Son Brewery. We've had some really good conversations with them, and looking forward to get out to their location, hopefully sooner rather than later. And we're going to get out to some other breweries in town and take this show on the road. But let's get this show on the road that we're doing today. As again, we talk about Coppertail and the NFC and AFC title game. So as always, let's pick a beer to start with.
We're going random pick this time?
Yeah, I don't know what's in the middle. I feel like that's where we start. I don't, because we turned them all over and I don't remember how I set it up.
Unholy.
So that's good. That's one of their mainstays. That's one of their, go-to beers. And we've actually had some people
9.2 by the way. So we're starting strong today.
It's like the Belgian strong from last week. But we've had some people actually shout out Unholy. We asked what people's favorite Coppertail beers were as we got ready for this episode. So as Brian pours that. We are gonna start out in the AFC. As much as I'm ready to get to Tom Brady and the Bucs and heading to Green Bay and Lambeau and that frigid tundra up there, we'll start with the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending champs, taking on the Buffalo Bills. And
nice.
I meant to tell you this when I got here. I actually missed the turn to your house twice.
You said, you gave me an ETA and then it was, past the time. So I didn't know if you took a beer break on the way here. Just kind of
No, I missed the turn twice because I was listening to Chris Berman on the Dan Patrick Show talk about the circling the wagon story.
Berman was on there?
Berman was on today.
Wow.
And he was talking about his story of like why he became so enthralled with the Bills. And he mentioned how Thurman Thomas's rookie season up in Buffalo, he picked them after a 7-9 record to win the Super Bowl the next year out of the AFC. And he said that, when he finally went to Buffalo to cover one of the games, they had like a 4-0 start that season. And everybody was shocked that they were playing so well. And, he's a Swami, so he was like eating it up. He's like, yeah, I knew. And he said when he got to Buffalo, they were so happy that he picked them ahead of time that they gave him a key to the city. He's like, I just got off the plane.
Oh, that explains a lot.
But that's what the Bills kind of Mafia does.
As a Dolphins fan and just literally watching his picks every Sunday, and every single time we were playing the Bills, he always picked the Bills. I don't care what the records were. I don't care what the hot streak we were on. It was always Bills, 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 and it pissed me off.
So it was such a good interview. I missed the turn twice, and the Bills are in the AFC title game. Josh Allen and company dispose of the Ravens and looked really good against them, mind you. They knocked Lamar Jackson out of the game, literally and figuratively. And listen, now they're a team that is a 3-point underdog on the road at Kansas City. And as much as we can talk about what Stephon Diggs has done for that offense and Josh Allen taking the next step, certainly some big players on defense like Tre'Davious White. The question everybody's wondering is, Patrick Mahomes going to play? Guy got choked out, right? Like concussion / choked out. Really weird situation for them in last week's game. But is Patrick Mahomes going to play? And I think, look, we're not doctors, we're drinkers, but we both are assuming Patrick Mahomes is going to play, right?
I think there's probably no way. It's one of those things where I understand the NFL has their safety protocols, and they're obviously they've made drastic changes to the testing for concussions and things like that. But I look at this one of those situations as like, it's almost like even if they're questionable about it, like he's going to play, right? It's like he's an MVP.
Do you think that they're actually going through the legitimate protocols as normal though, or do you think there's some side skirting?
I mean, there's no way to know for sure, right?
Right.
Like outside looking,
we're not analyzing. We're just guessing.
I look at it like, remember when the Ravens were playing Dallas in that night game, and then Dez Bryant randomly had that positive COVID test, and they yanked him from warmups before that? It's like that's one of those
no contract tracing because he was by himself in the corner practicing,
right, exactly.
Allegedly.
And it's so
what
he's
a coincidence.
The only one. And then I believe afterwards, after the game, they tested him again, and it turns out it was negative.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things where it's like, okay,
but
big
isn't
money
it different
makes
with
these moves.
COVID and concussions though? Like COVID's such a mystery compared to how the NFL is using it and trying to diagnose it. And concussions, they have protocols,
right? And I can't imagine that if he can't go, and he legitimately still is having symptoms, or he's puking at practice and stuff like that. Like obviously they're not going to be able to make any excuse for why he can play. But I just think if it's anywhere close, even if he is having mild symptoms, I just feel like there's no way he doesn't play.
Got a question for you, but I want to try this beer. This is the Unholy, again, one of the
Unholy.
I don't think it's the song. And we've had this beer before.
Oh yeah,
it is tasty.
It is
actually I'll be honest. We usually go IPAs, and we have some IPAs out here from Coppertail. This is very tasty. And this is a popular one you can get at Publix, Walmart, all over the place in grocery stores.
Very citrusy too. So it's still strong, but it's like the citrusy it's still a strong I'm trying to think of the right words. It's got me tongue-tied, but
palpitating.
You think of we tried the Belgian strong last week that was 8.4, 8.6, something like that. Sometimes
but it tasted Belgian. I know that sounds weird, but
exactly. And then you've got an American triple here, so obviously
taste American.
Tastes American, not the same style.
That's how when we do Untapped, that's how I'm going to describe it later.
Yeah, but it's not like that. Like molasses, I don't know. It's just this tastes more light to me, but it's still strong. So it's one of those things where it's hey, you get a decent buzz going off one or two of these,
Start slurring our words by the NFC. Back to the AFC. I told you I had a question. Colin Cowherd earlier this week said that if Patrick Mahomes can't go, or that if he's at all questionable, leading up to it to where he might not go, that the NFL should postpone the game. And you just mentioned how if he's anywhere close that he'll go. Let's say let's say Saturday pops up and they're like, we're still not sure, and they're afraid to pull the trigger and say he's allowed to go. I'm hardcore against postponing the game in any capacity, especially again, look, if it's a COVID issue and you don't know and you're trying to figure it out, whatever, fine, I get it. But if it's a matter of a concussion or getting choked out, you got to play the game.
I mean, it's okay, so then where do you draw the line, right?
Correct.
Okay, so if he gets injured and then you push the game back for him, and then it's okay, what if Stephon Diggs is the one that gets hurt? We pushing the game back for him for the Bills?
Probably
to
not.
me, that's just asinine. And you think of that, it's injuries happen all the time, and they've been lucky with him and really
MVP, defending champ,
exactly.
The home team.
He had that thing last year where he had the knee issue. I think he was out for a couple games, kind of lingered a little bit, but they've been lucky to have him on the field as much as they have to this point. So I don't think we start, moving goalposts there for teams, because that's a slippery slope. And then where do you draw the line in terms of trying to give one team an advantage versus the other one? Shit happens, injuries happen. If he can't go, better off for the Bills.
Does the fact that Patrick Mahomes uses ketchup on his steak make you like him less?
Oh, absolutely. I can't stand those commercials
Wow.
where he's dumping the ketchup on there. Come on. We used to work at a steakhouse, and we know, I mean.
But I grew up eating well-done steak with like sauces and stuff, and then I learned to like it now.
Right,
you know?
But you learn from that, right?
Yeah.
He's a grown-ass man now,
I understand
and he's
not everybody
ketchup on his steak. I mean, and they do in all these commercials. It's not just the State Farm one. He was in a different one where he's dumping ketchup on him. Like, I get that that's his thing. I'm pretty sure he has
a Heinz endorsement, though. I'm pretty sure he's got a ketchup endorsement.
But God, man, it just grosses me out. It's like, come on, if you're a grown man, eat a steak the way it should be eaten.
So I'm gonna need you to drink some of the beer for the next question. Again, we're talking AFC, and we'll get to our prediction here. You're very high on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't know if he's going to be able to go in this game, or if he does, how healthy he'll be. Le'Veon Bell, obviously, in the mix. Darrell, Doomy, whatever you want to call him, also in the mix.
D.
Will, also in the mix. Clyde Edwards, though, what kind of impact having or not having him would he make on this Chiefs offense? And I mean, I'm not saying he had a bad year, but I think his year was disappointing overall.
Yeah, it definitely was. And I think that with where the buzz that he had coming into fantasy drafts and where he was expected, and he climbed. I mean, he was started off as a guy that was talked about as being like maybe a third round pick, and then all the way up to the
you were the one talking about it. You were high on him.
I was very, very high on him. I think I had him ranked as like my third overall player that I was targeting, and I didn't understand the usage. You know, when you think of Damian Williams and they had him there, he was a viable fantasy option. I just felt that for whatever reason this year with Edwards-Helaire, they didn't commit to the run. You know, it was like, and I understand, I guess. I mean, it's probably dumb for me to say I don't understand that, because when you have Mahomes, you're going to run your offense through him.
Right.
But I just when they drafted him,
Kelsey and Tyreek too, you got those guys in the mix.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, it was Mahomes that was the one that was kind of pining for them to draft Edwards-Helaire. So I looked at that and said, okay, well, if this guy wants him, they're definitely going to use him. And the usage just near the goal line, and I think we talked about this with some of our friends this year too. It's like he was getting the volume, but they have so many weapons that in the red zone it could be anyone. Yeah. You know, they're throwing the ball.
Patrick Mahomes. He can run it in. I mean, especially the way the league's set up now.
If he's out, I don't see that being a huge drop-off. Le'Veon Bell, not the same player he used to be, but he's still a serviceable running back for what they need in that offense, and they're going to run it through Kelsey and Tyreek Hill anyways.
Here's a fun thing for you, and I know Steelers fans are going to kind of grimace when I say this. There's a potential of Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell playing in the Super Bowl against each other, and neither are a Steeler, and they were on that team for so long. And, obviously we're going to kind of give our breakdowns here. I'm ready to pivot to another brew too. But before we finish up and give predictions on the AFC side, Colts quarterback Phil Rivers obviously played a long time in San Diego / LA with the Chargers. Man, and this is the fun conversation a lot of people have. Is he a Hall of Famer? If you say yes, is he a first ballot? I think he's second or third ballot, but a for sure Hall of Famer in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back. It's one of the things that we talked about on the intro video that we made was with the Eli Manning thing. Except Eli has 2 Super Bowl wins, and Phillip Rivers,
same draft class by the way, and Roethlisberger.
Oh, I know. It's like we've grown up with those guys. You know, I remember that draft class and Big Ben and those guys coming out. And you think about how weird it's going to be in the next couple of years watching the NFL without those guys, because those have been the top tier quarterbacks for so long. You know, those guys have all been in the top 10, and then their play starts to decline and Father Time catches up, and it sucks. But, I mean, I think he's a guy that definitely, he's compiled great stats. It just, the one thing that holds him back is just
no title,
no real postseason success either. They've had some great teams. You look at the year, I think they went 14-2. They were the 1 seed, and they got bounced like in their first game, I think, to the Steelers, which I think might have been Big Ben's rookie year.
And it was Phillip Rivers' only home playoff game.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It's insane.
And we don't know officially yet, but it looks like him and Breeze are going to retire the same offseason. The 2 last Chargers quarterbacks. And remember when Rivers replaced Breeze, he was way younger than him. It's just, it's such a crazy thing. 17 seasons in the NFL for Phil Rivers, 17 children, I'm pretty sure. And as we look at him, again, I do think he's a Hall of Famer. I don't think he's first ballot because he never had that postseason success.
You think he's going to have more kids now that he's retired and he's got all this free time?
If we're going to start talking kids, I need to open another beer. Dunk. I give you a lot of credit, dude, because I think that, like, again, we're beer connoisseurs in the sense of we drink a lot of beer. We're not, I'm going to try to butcher this name. Sommeliers.
Sommeliers?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Some millionaires. We're some millionaires.
Some millionaires. So the Dunk is similar to Dunkel, which makes sense because it's a German-style dark lager. I've never had this from Coppertail, so I'm excited to try it.
I don't think I've tried it either.
I appreciate it like a dark lager. As far as the German beers go, like that's something I really...
The Dunkel.
Dunkel. Pour that up like a trout sport beers, you know. Yeah, I'll let you do.
It's a lot of head.
Listen. The first like pour of the beer is always worrisome for me because you got to be quick with the hand, dude. Yeah, so to your point, is Phillip Rivers going to have more children? That's a tough one. Tastes like a lager.
I like that.
Maybe just like a hint
it's
of
light.
maltiness on the other. Maybe malty, just a hint of it on the end.
I kind of like.
Their artwork is fantastic, by the way, on all of these. That's like Coppertail's known for their like insane, great like artwork. I think that they have a guy that's not like that they have like make all this. It's all phenomenal.
Yeah, it's odd. They got this one over here. The Unholy he's holding a knife. He's got like a rat whispering in his ear, and then there's one playing a guitar standing on a barrel in the water.
It's like the anti-Disney. It's like it's a mouse, but it's a rat, and there's.
So this one, it definitely like doesn't have as heavy of a taste. Like being just a dark lager, I guess it's just more of a lighter. Like rather than like we're gonna get to the night swim in a minute, like porters, stouts obviously have that heavier, kind of thicker taste. Mm-hmm. This one being a dark beer, but you can even look at like the color. It's almost like an amber. You know, it's like just kind of lighter, but I like it. I mean,
it's good. Yeah, no, it is easy drinking. I mean, and again, you know, for a dark quote unquote lager, like these usually go down a lot easier because you still get the lager side of it. So
yeah, I could see myself drinking this out of one of those, you know, you go to the Hofbrauhaus, right? They got the giant like 30 ounce and you order a Dunkel, you know, that's how you drink it. You get the dark.
You just like saying the name.
I do.
You're just a name fan.
Dunkel.
Okay, so Phil Rivers gonna have more kids. I don't think so. I do think he ends up getting into coaching, and again, I think he's a Hall of Famer. I don't think he's a first ballot guy. I think he's second, third, maybe even fourth. I think his stats and the fact that he was always a top, well, maybe not always. Most of his career, he was a top 5 quarterback. Or he was definitely a top 10 quarterback the whole time he was in the league, which was 17 years.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, he's had a top. I'd have to go back and look. He's won his division. How many times has he made the playoffs? Like a ton, right? Like I know he hasn't had a lot of success in the postseason, but he's made the playoffs a ton. So, I mean, again, that's kind of where I'm at on him. If he wants to have more kids, more power to him. He has to remember those paychecks aren't coming in anymore.
He only needs 4 or 5 more to feel literally like. No, I'm sorry. I was thinking there was a graphic the other day that was put up and it showed who had the most kids. And Antonio Cromartie is at like 14 or 15 kids. Although credit to Phil Rivers, I think he's at 11 now, but his are all the same woman. And
you're being judgy. You're doing the judgy thing.
I'm just saying it. Hey, when Cromartie was on when he was on the Hard Knocks, he couldn't even remember his kids' names. Remember he went on that streak. He was trying to name them off. He would say their name, and they were all like age 3, just because he kept lumping them all together. To be fair,
I have 3 dogs, and sometimes I get their names mixed up.
That's 3, right? But and you've stopped there, right? You haven't decided to go to 14. I
still struggle to get the 3 names in order sometimes, and I'm sure you've yelled at your dogs and called them the wrong name before. Like,
yeah, 3, that's one thing. But when you're deciding to have 14 kids, I mean, again, whatever. Not my life, not my decision. I'm just saying that's a little ridiculous. That's a lot of kids.
Well, we will talk about the rest of the AFC, and we mentioned we were into the Bills stuff earlier. 53.5 over under, I believe, with this game.
54.
54. It's up to 54. I'm going to keep crushing, dude. So the Bills are an underdog. They're a road team. All the home teams -1 got the victory last week, and we know which team it was. We'll get to the NFC and to the Bucs very soon. But, Brian, I got to ask you, man. Obviously, I think we can all agree the Bills have a chance in this game. But do you think the Bills upset the Chiefs? Do you think the Bills cover? Do you think the over-under a high-scoring game is realistic? 3 questions, but, you know.
I do think it will be a fairly high-scoring game. I do expect Mahomes to play. Right now, the spread is at 3, and I don't think he's been officially cleared yet, right? So we're still, like, trending towards him coming back, but no official word, right?
We're assuming that he will play.
Right. I expect to see...
let's do the hypothetical of if he plays. And if he doesn't play, like if Chad Henne starts, I'm going to assume the Bills win. I'm going to pick the Bills to win if it's Chad Henne, right? Do you agree with that or not?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we agree that if it's Chad Henne in, that the Bills will win, let's just have the conversation assuming that Mahomes is healthy enough to play.
I think as far as betting goes, with the line being at 3 right now, I expect once Mahomes gets cleared, like officially he's going to play, I expect that to go up a little bit. I think the line will get pushed to maybe 3.5 or 4 in favor of the Chiefs.
That's not a ton, though. That's,
no, it's not going to swing a bunch, but I think that right now most people are assuming he's going to play, but once it's official, I think that's when you'll see it tick up a little bit. Okay. And most lines move a little bit, a point and a half or half a point or a point, in either direction. I think this one will do the same. So from a betting perspective, if I'm looking for I think probably the safest play, wait till Mahomes gets cleared.
Okay.
And then take the Bills plus 3.5.
Right, okay, so you like the Bills to cover more than a field goal. Do you like the Bills to cover a field goal, though, if Mahomes plays?
Well,
because you made that whole argument for a reason. Clearly you said that.
I'm going to – okay, so first of all, on the first episode, we made our picks, our Super Bowl picks. At this point, the Bills have gotten to the AFC Championship, which I predicted that they would. So at this point, I'm going to stick with my pick. I'm going to pick them outright as far as this podcast goes.
You don't sound very confident.
Well, of course not. I think it's going to be a close game either way. I could easily be wrong. I think from a betting standpoint, what I'd be more comfortable betting would be the Bills plus 3.5 or plus 4 if it gets to that.
If there's money on that.
That would definitely be, because I think this game is definitely going to be within a field goal. But hey, for the sake of fun and drinking some beer here and making a prediction, I'll go with the Bills.
Is it safe to say that Brian Ritchie is circling the wagons for the Buffalo Bills?
Oh God, I've never thought I'd say that, but
do it.
No, I'm not saying it. I'm
I'm loving this.
To win, but betting wise, if I'm putting my money on it, I'm going Bills plus 3.5, plus 4, whatever it is that, once Mahomes get cleared.
Okay, I respect that. I'm going to let us go to this next beer. Like I said, I really do want to go to the night swim, so I'll let you kind of jump into that.
So who are you taking? Chiefs outright, no matter what?
I'm going to tell you. Look, you help me out. I'll kind of get into my thing.
We're going to night swim?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll do that. And then we'll get to the two big boys on the other end, and we'll talk NFC, Bucs, Tom Brady. Obviously going up to Green Bay, taking on Aaron Rodgers. We'll chat about that. Remind you of the giveaway we've got going on all throughout the Super Bowl. And after the Super Bowl, I should say, is when we'll announce a winner. But, I'm going with the Chiefs, assuming Patrick Mahomes plays. I just have a hard time picking against the defending champs. I love this game, though. I literally think, and it doesn't always happen like this. Like last year, obviously, the Titans made a heck of a run and more power to them. But for me, you have the best two teams in the AFC, hands down.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up the Titans, too, because I just saw a graphic literally this morning that showed – as in terms of overall passing efficiency, expected, yards and all, and this is all kind of metrics and stuff. But literally at the top right of the graph, the 4 teams that were actually there was 5 teams all kind of clumped together.
Yeah,
it was the 4 remaining teams that are still in it right now, and the Titans. So you look at it, it's a passing league. You have to be efficient at passing the ball in order to get this deep in the playoffs, and it's interesting to see that and see the metrics literally back that up.
And to that point, if, let's say, the Chiefs need a first down, let's say they need 13 yards, I feel great about Mahomes finding a way to get that.
Yeah.
I feel really good about Josh Allen being able to do that, but not to the point that I feel comfortable with Mahomes doing it, which is why ultimately I'm picking the Chiefs. They are the defending champs. And I believe at the beginning of the year, I just was not good on the NFC side because I thought the Cowboys – I picked the Cowboys deep because I thought, Dak being hurt.
Yep.
And Dak anytime you're starting quarterbacks out the whole year, you got to kind of watch.
Plus, I didn't expect their defense to be as just atrocious as it was.
Me neither.
Although it did improve the second half of the season.
But on the other side, I felt really good about the Chiefs getting back. I really did. And because they didn't really lose anybody. If anything, they added guys when you look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We didn't know Le'Veon Bell was on the team yet. So I feel really good about the Chiefs still. I would not be shocked in any capacity if the Bills won. To me, that game is a coin flip. And before we get into the NFC, I feel way more confident on my pick on that side with the Bucs and the Packers going head-to-head than I do about the AFC. But I'm going to pick the Chiefs.
Okay.
I picked the Bills to cover, so I'll follow your lead on that. So we both like Buffalo against the spread. And we both are picking differently when it comes to the actual winner. But I don't think either of us would be shocked if it went either way.
I agree. I think this is one of those ones where I'm not very confident in the pick either way, just because I feel like it is so neck and neck. And you look at these,
which is great for an audience. If it is that's entertainment-wise fantastic.
Yeah. And it's 2 very similar teams. You've obviously got electric, dynamic receivers on the outside with Tyreek and Stephon Diggs. You got 2 mobile quarterbacks. Both have been playing at elite levels this year. And then defense is where I think I'm going to give a slight edge to the Bills defense overall, but they've kind of at times underwhelmed this year. But they're both opportunistic defenses. They
100%.
can create a turnover, get sacks when they need to, and that's what it takes to get this deep as well.
As far as movies go, we always talk about how sports are like Hollywood unscripted.
Should we dive into this real quick?
We can't dive. We can.
Right, we're not diving.
We can night swim into it.
That's right. Well, we don't have the free dive, so we can reference it. We're gonna swim into it. Night swim porter.
That's what I was doing.
I think everyone that's
no love.
What do you mean?
I was night swimming.
I got it. It just wasn't one of your best. So
it wasn't my worst.
That's true. Definitely wasn't the worst.
And I've talked about many times my dad, his intro to craft beer being Maduro from Cigar City. This is one I get him quite often. Not as like a celebratory, but more as like a, hey man, I'm going to stock the fridge a little bit. Yeah. Let me get you something. He does like the night swim. Actually, now that I think about it, for Christmas, I gave him a Coppertail pint glass and a 6-pack of the night swim. So I literally just did that.
It's so good. What's the alcohol percentage? 6.2? There you go.
Yeah.
It's good.
And it's steady. You know, we always talk about like when beers nail what they're trying to do. I think this nails like
simple porter.
Simple porter. We know a simple porter. Shout out to our boy Kyle. He'll probably never see this.
What's up?
To your point though, so we both are picking the Bills to cover the 3.5.
It's at 3 right now, but I think it'll move a little bit. So
either way, we like to get the Bills against the spread.
I'll probably still pick them on the spread.
I'll say this again: if it was Hollywood and if it was a movie, you know how the Bills would win if this was a movie, and you know how they'd win. Harrison Butkus or whatever his name is, kicking a field goal wide. Right. So I'll leave it at that. We're going to take a quick break. Zach and Brian here. This is the Craft Beer Playbook, Episode 3, Coppertail, the brewery that we are focusing on. And also we're going to talk more about the NFL Conference Championship games. Tom Brady, the Buccaneers, head to Lambeau Field to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. We were both wrong on the Bucs last week. I actually have a handwritten apology for Thomas. Yeah, we'll get into that more. Don't forget, we're doing a giant giveaway for a Tom Brady not signed. Oof, he did not sign it. Maybe he will. Maybe I'll see him. Maybe I'll be like, yo, Tom, can you sign it?
He's not going to want to sign it now. You picked against him.
That's true. But maybe I'll change my fortunes on that. It's a Tom Brady Collector's Edition football, also a Total Wine gift card, and a craft beer swag bag from some of your favorite local breweries. Remember, all you got to do to find out more about that, head to any of our social medias. So whether you're on Twitter at Beer Playbook or whether you're on Facebook or Instagram at The Craft Beer Playbook, every Tuesday we pump that content out, and you can enter as many times as those are out there. You can find more roles and ways to win there. Also, make sure, even if you are following us, that you find our podcast. We're now audio driven as well. If the video is something that you don't feel safe driving and listening to, you can find us on Spotify, Apple, and
or at the
anywhere
gym.
else.
Crank it out. Just you're getting ready to get ready for the NFL weekend. You want to get some expert picks. People are just crushing it.
Maybe you're driving to a brewery. There's a million ways that you can do it. Maybe you're taking a long walk. Whatever it may be, you can find us again anywhere you find podcasts. And then we'll get more into the NFC and Tom Brady. We both picked against him, against Drew Brees in New Orleans. Can he do it again on the road again with the Super Bowl in his own backyard at Raymond James Stadium? More of that when we return. This is the Craft Beer Playbook. We'll see you guys in a minute. Welcome back to the Craft Beer Playbook. It is episode 3. We're talking Coppertail Brewery out in the Ybor area. And also we're going to pivot now from the AFC Championship to the NFC Championship. The hometown Tampa Bay Buccaneers head up north to Lambeau Field. They're going to take on the Packers and Aaron Rodgers this Sunday. They're actually the earlier game. I know we started in the AFC. And before we really dive headfirst into Tom Brady and the Bucs' chances against those Green Bay Packers, let's go to our next beer. Good news, we have 2 IPAs left, and they're
big boys.
Both from the Alpha Hunt series from Coppertail Brewing. Now, if you remember from our intro video, we did the Hop Skull 13? I don't even remember. They have a Hop Skull series, which is phenomenal. If you ever get a chance to try any of them, they're really good. And then their Free Dive is their normal IPA, which is also very tasty. I actually had it to bring today, and I was like, we've drank it so much, but if you love IPAs, you'll love the Free Dive. You'll love the Hop Skull series. Both of these, I think, are going to be good as well. And, I do want to, before we, again, dive into the football side of things, talk a little bit more about Coppertail and, just their evolution out there over, they're in Ybor, but not like in the heart of Ybor, which is nice because you can get to them from like State Road 60 and all the other billion names that road is called. But you can literally find them. They have a parking lot. Like, it's a very convenient place to go have a beer. They have food, which is phenomenal. They have plenty of space. It's one of my favorite breweries just from like a venue standpoint. And again, there's a lot to love. I got, a ton of, I know my buddy Kovacs works over there. I work with Pat Donovan on iHeart, and he has a great relationship with them as well. So like, we just have so many like ties to this brewery just from like people we know and places, the reasons that we've been there. I mentioned, I'm pretty sure our high school reunion wasn't there, but like a bunch of,
It wasn't.
It wasn't, but I know a lot of people went afterwards.
It was a different year.
No. A lot of people went there afterwards, though, from what I heard.
You're right, though, but I think it was a different year. I think it was the year before we graduated. Whatever.
But it's a great brewery, and they have a great beer, and they're out, and you can get them again at grocery stores, you can get them at gas stations. Like, their production line's amazing, and it's funny because we talk so heavily about Cigar City being like the brewery in Tampa. Coppertail has quickly grown to be.
They're closing the gap.
They can throw some punches in the ring.
And I think the big part of that is what you just mentioned as far as the distribution goes. I mean, once you start seeing your local breweries in Publix, they're getting to that point where they're pretty big. And you go out to a restaurant, most restaurants are going to have Cigar City High Life on tap, and now Free Dive and Night Swim are those are probably two of the more popular ones that you'll see around town for that brewery. But and like we talked about in every episode, basically, it's fun to watch these breweries grow and start off, and you see them get bigger, and then they just expand. They do more events. They bring more people out there, and then next thing you know, you're finding it in stores everywhere.
We definitely had one of my birthdays that we hit up the brew bus, and we ended at Coppertail Brewery, and I do not remember it at all. But just a lot.
That was great, by the way. I'd never done that before, but shout out.
We haven't done it since.
I know. I mean, it's a lot of beer for one day, but you're not driving, so it's great. You just hop on the bus. It's like, hey, take us to the next stop, and
doesn't mean you ain't hurting the next day just because you ain't driving.
But you're hurting way less than if you were driving. So I think it's great. It's a great thing, and that's something we're lucky to have here in Tampa. Just kind of be able to bounce around, have that bus, and take you through all these breweries.
So we're gonna head to their Alpha Series IPAs at Coppertail and the Winston Sheffield. Another great can, by the way.
Who is Winston Sheffield?
He's already my favorite Winston. Actually, Churchill's pretty high up there.
You don't like Jameis?
No. He's my third favorite.
See, now there's like bullets falling off.
Sheffield, right?
He looks like he's wearing a Rolex. He's playing
Sheffield.
What is that?
Like Gary Sheffield.
I thought he was playing the guitar, but he's got a.
We've been very educational on the Craft Beer Playbook. We learned what a Ybor was.
Pinfish.
You told me all about Pinfish the last time.
Now we need to know who Winston Sheffield is, and I feel bad if he's a famous guy.
Average rating of 3.8 on Untapped. By the way, don't forget to follow the Craft Beer Playbook on Untapped. We will friend you back. That's one thing we guarantee.
How do you like rating things on there though too? Because I feel like I almost feel bad if I don't put 5 for everything. Like I feel like I always want to just be like.
I think anything over a 3 is like fair. Like I think it's just a matter. Like if you see a beer, because if I see a beer that's under 3, I'm like, that's them being nice. Like if they're being nice is under a 3, like I probably won't touch it. But I think you get real like, look, if it's a 3.2, that means that. At least in my mind, I'm like, oh, it's like an average, just slightly above average. If I see anything in the 4s, it's like, oh, they like it a lot. Anything close to 5, it's like, oh, that's one of their favorite beers.
I have noticed that anything usually like over a 4 is usually one of the higher rated ones, 4.2, 4.19 average. But I mean, for me, I just love beer, so it's hard for me to always discredit anything. But
man, I'm having trouble finding out info on who Winston Sheffield is.
Maybe he's made up, or maybe he has something to do with Coppertail Brewery. And we need to swing in there and figure it out. So
fun fact, Coppertail, one of their founders, like his daughter made up Coppertail. It was like a fake like monster or something that she made up. So Coppertail itself comes from like a made up monster type like kid, like something that a kid made up. So I wouldn't be shocked. That would actually make a lot of sense because again, like it seems like, how people kind of come up with things over there. Man, I'm looking for some like good details on this. You said the way you reacted when you just opened it is very encouraging.
I'm going for it. I'm going in.
Okay, as you try it. This is great. So each Alpha Hunt has a story to tell. The following is the account of Winston Sheffield's expedition. So there is a story to each can. And we have another one, Pax Odeon, so we'll get into that too. I'm going to try this. Oh, wow. That's good. I feel like Yoda. So let me read this to you. Sheffield dispatches descend into lunacy. Coppertail sighting. Maria. Malaria. I was going to say Maria to blame. Malaria to blame.
What are you reading, bro?
Look, there's some big words here. I still don't know if this is like fake or not, by the way. So they haven't said that.
Oh, God.
Maybe I shouldn't be reading off of a phone. The latest dispatches arriving from Sir Winston Sheffield's Congo expedition may be the work of a fevered brain. In shaky handwriting on smudged and blackened pages, Sheffield claims to have finally sighted the infamous cryptid Coppertail, which again, Coppertail's a fake monster that...
Is it on every can? I think it is, because there's the Coppertail right there jumping out of the water.
And that's a
right
made-up
there.
monster by the one of the owners, or the owner's daughter.
This is like a dragon. This is good, though.
So this is a fake guy. So Winston Sheffield's a fake guy. Not to be confused with...
It's hazy, but it's not like thick. You know what I mean? Like some of the hazies you have are just like real thick. You can't even see through it. But this
Malaria is what I was trying to say. Malaria. I was like, why is this word killing me? Malaria. Yeah, this is good. So this is a made up. So these are all made up. So that means...
What's the percentage on this?
Pax Odeon's also going to be like a made up story.
We are looking at... Wait, where is it?
I don't know, man. I just tried to read malaria. Malaria.
Yeah,
See, I'm
you
still
need
doing
to quit reading for today.
No, that word is tough. Malaria. Is it malaria or malaria?
No, it's malaria. It's a disease, which I think you might have because your brain's
disease?
getting melted right now.
I don't think that's...
This is not showing the...
I'm
not going crazy, am I? Because usually the alcohol percentage...
You can't talk smack to me and then struggle yourself.
It's not showing it. It doesn't show the alcohol percentage. It's usually right there in the description.
15.2.
Anyways... Again, good citrus taste you get from some of the hazies.
It has to be on here.
Not as thick as some of the other ones. Like this one's like a lighter, you can see through it. But it's good.
I don't know. I don't see it. But anyways, Winston Sheffield.
Tasty. It's weird. Almost like the taste kind of changes. I get like a 2-point taste there. It's like it's hoppy first, but then it mellows out to like a nice citrus taste. Like you get like an orange zest. Like on the tail end.
I think it's a lot smoother than a lot of IPAs, if that makes sense.
Well, especially as far as the hazy
IPA
goes.
for that pop that you feel like on the taste buds, and this doesn't really have it. Which
but also for hazy, that like I said, you tried some of the ones that are like really thick, right? It's almost like it's like drinking a juicy cloud, right? It's like this one's
unfiltered, right? Like that's the whole idea. There's a lot more sediment and stuff.
I'm going again.
It was good. Yeah, this is tasty. Of course you are.
Anyways, NFC, right?
So I have to apologize because as I get Winston Sheffield out of here, although also Winston as in Jameis, as in Bucs, as in now we're talking about the NFC title game with the Packers and the Bucs and Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.
Wow. You know his full name.
I have to apologize. And
Edward Patrick? Edward Patrick.
Yeah.
So he has two middle names?
Yeah.
That's just weird. I always knew the guy was weird.
He's got one for every 3 rings. That's quick math for you.
I think the math's wrong on that.
Damn it!
No, actually, it might be right. 6 rings, right? Is that what he's at?
That's what I thought.
He's the new Sixburg, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a little different. So I have to apologize to you, Tom Brady, because I, against my gut, picked against you last week because I went with reason. I went with logic. And I even said
never
prior.
Pick against your gut, man. Your gut always wins on betting.
I even said there's 2 guys you never bet against. Well, 3. Actually, I always said 2 guys you never bet against, Belichick and Saban. This year has proved there's 2 guys you never bet against, Brady and Saban. You can bet against Belichick because we've seen that people made money this season doing that with the Patriots and with Bill Belichick's team. You never bet against Brady or Saban. And I did that last week. I thought the Bucs would cover. I thought, looking at the team being amped for Drew Brees' potential last game, it's a division game. They smacked him in game 2. They smacked him pretty bad in game 1. Logic said that the Bucs would lose in New Orleans. That's why I love sports. Logic did not play itself out. The Bucs won. And even though the game was not a blowout, you felt really good about what the Bucs were doing. 4 turnovers. They ripped Drew Brees around. Now, Aaron Rodgers isn't Drew Brees, but I can't make the same mistake twice. So I'm not going to bury the lead here. Like, I am confidently picking the Buccaneers to beat Green Bay. Now, do I think it's going to be I'll say this. I think the Bucs' best game against Green Bay, even after this weekend with a win, will have been that other matchup during the regular season where they just smacked Aaron Rodgers around for a bunch of turnovers. But I love the Bucs in this game. I think the way the offensive line's playing, the secondary, they're opportunistic right now. Brady's zoned in, and I know it's at Lambeau. I know Rodgers has his, mojo going. He could be the MVP this year, him or Mahomes. I love the Bucs in this matchup to cover easily. I give him a touchdown.
Wow.
I feel great about it. I really do.
See, you previewed that. You kind of gave the sneak peek of having the more confident pick in NFC, and I actually did not expect you to go Bucs with that. Interesting. Okay.
And this is why, again, it's easy for me to be here in Tampa Bay and to be doing, and again, I do sports radio. I work with DAE and I work with iHeartRadio on the side, and it's easy for me to be like, oh, it's the hometown team. I'm going to pick them to pick them. I'm not doing that. I truly, in my gut, felt like the Saints were going to, well, not in my gut. I felt like on my brain, that the Saints were going to win last week. And that's why I said, even though most of me wants to pick the Bucs, I wouldn't have trusted myself to do that. I feel really good about the Bucs against the Packers. I think they match up great against them. They get Vita Vea back in the middle, who they didn't have the first time when they smacked around the Packers. I understand it's going to be cold in Green Bay. I don't really care. Anybody who wants to talk about the weather is too soft to have a conversation with me. I'm too soft to be in the weather in Green Bay, but I'm not playing. I'm not an NFL player. If you told me you were going to pay me thousands, millions of dollars to go do this show and work in Green Bay on Lambeau Field for a few hours, guess what? I wouldn't feel that cold because you know what warms you up? Money and winning and success.
Well, yeah,
Bucs are going to be fine up there.
Simple science of running around.
I feel great. Hammer the Bucs. Hammer them. I feel great.
Okay, let me ask you a question. How do the Bucs contain Davante Adams?
100%. Fair question. And again, clearly their best weapon in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers is going to get him the ball as much as he can. And Aaron Jones is a stud too. And certainly those three players are their best, and that's a great top three guys to have. Carlton Davis has played phenomenally at corner. He shut down Michael Thomas, called him slant boy, loved the smack talk. But Carlton Davis, when fully healthy, has shut down multiple receivers this year. Got destroyed against Tyreek Hill. But the main reason that Hill had his way with him outside of being a top 5 receiver himself is that he had no help over the top. Go watch that game. Any of the film breakdown, the safeties never gave Carlton any love over the top. He had to cover him one-on-one. They don't have to do that against Green Bay. Antoine Winfield, who's having a hell of a rookie year, Jordan Whitehead or Mike Edwards, whoever's filling in on each play, is going to be able to help cover him. And I think when you double or keep a spy on him, Valdez Scantling, I know he's USF guy, right? Go Bulls. Lizard, Laser, none of those guys scare me. Tunyon and the Onion, they're all had good. They've all had good seasons, but because of Aaron Rodgers and because Davante Adams is pulling double coverage. If Jamel Dean is Sean Murphy Bunting and even Devin White in coverage and Levante David, these guys are going to be able to hold their own. But if you're giving me Carlton Davis and they're giving him safety help on Davante, easily go with the Bucs.
Okay,
and
that's fair. And I think it's a good argument. I definitely do. I think that everything that you mentioned is good. Carlton Davis obviously locking down Michael Thomas last week. Michael Thomas, and even though we have some Bucs friends that really don't
slant boy
that really don't believe in him, I do think he's a really great receiver. So I think that them locking him down. And this game is tough for me. So regardless of whatever I end up picking here on this, I want anyone out there to know that this is not an easy pick for me because I could easily see it going both ways. Same with the AFC.
Is this game harder to pick for you than the AFC game?
Good question.
Because, look, there's 4 teams left. The Packers aren't
bad. I'm going to say no
because
I just feel like, God, I don't know. Actually, that's a tough question.
But that's the thing. There's 4 teams. They're all great, Brian, in 2021 here in the 2020 season. So, there's no shame in being both are tough. But I'm which game is harder for you in your heart to say this will be the winner? Obviously, I don't know who you're picking in the Packers and Bucs, so that's part of it. So as you think on that,
they're pretty close, man. They're pretty close.
I want to go to this last IPA, also in the Alpha Hunt series, Pax Odeon. I've actually had this one before. I hadn't had the Winston Sheffield. I have had this. I did enjoy this. It's also a part, again, like I said, the Alpha Hunt series. I'm not going to pull up the Google on it because I can't obviously read a script right now. I tried that. It didn't go well. Malaria.
Yeah, no more descriptions.
Is it malaria or malaria?
Tell us what the...
Pop a top.
Malaria.
So it's another IPA. All the Alpha Hunt, it's an IPA series. So all these are going to be IPAs. This one's shorter description, hopefully I can read this, is a showcase of IPAs featuring unique hops and hop blends from across the globe that are discovered on the never-ending hunt for the sea monster, which is Coppertail, which I explained the thought process behind that.
Is the Coppertail on that can? No, they're out now.
It has to
I don't think so.
Wow, we don't.
On this one, though. This one's got it like a dragon.
Listen, I'm not going to pretend to know how a pretend monster works and pretend like they
All right, pour us up.
There's no copper.
I'm ready to jump. I'm ready to jump
into
your question. I'm going to say that the harder game for me to pick is the AFC, and I'm going to be direct here, and I am going to pick the Packers, and here's why.
Wow.
You know how high I was on the Rams.
You picked the Saints too.
That's true.
You don't have any regret in that? Because I have a lot.
Yeah, the Saints is one of those picks where I didn't really feel that confident because if you watch them in the playoffs,
sounded pretty confident a week ago.
No, I picked the Saints to go. I did, but what I'm saying is, like, when you look at it, it's like the
only pick you've had wrong in the playoffs.
Yeah, the only pick I had wrong so far, at least straight up against the spread.
You're doubling down against the Bucs then, like to be safe. Like that's what you're doing.
Or I'm just changing my opinion on the Packers. See, you're trying to rile up. You're trying to rile up the Bucs.
I'm trying to rile up anybody.
You're trying to get people on my ass.
Maybe this podcast gets picked up in Green Bay. And,
yeah, right.
Packer fans are going wild.
The majority of our audience is obviously Bucs fans. You're trying to rile them up, and maybe I'm picking the Packers.
You're just naturally riling
that offense. I mean, I don't know. Rodgers is just he's locked in.
He's surgical.
He went up against the #1 scoring defense and just torched them. I mean, just picked them apart all game. Yeah. They only punted like 3 times, I think, 2 or 3 times the whole game against the Rams with great defense. And I was high on. Listen, don't get me wrong. I want to make something clear real quick. The Bucs, outstanding game.
Better than the Rams right now.
Yeah.
They should be offensively able to put up more points than LA
Absolutely.
did with Goff and a broken thumb.
And this is one of those games. I'm taking the over. I'm taking the over on this easily, in my opinion, because when you get 2 quarterbacks who are both hot right now, they're going to play well. And Davante Adams, okay, Carlton Davis played well, but what Davante Adams has done this year is just insane. Now you get the Bucs. They also have obviously all their weapons. Mike Evans is healthier this time around than when they played the Bucs or when they played the Packers last time.
AB's got a slight knee issue, but no structural
damage. And Jair Alexander is playing phenomenal. So I don't think that you're going to have one of those games where all 3 of those Bucs receivers. I think one of those guys, whoever Jair is on the most, is probably going to have just a average game.
And Godwin's had the dropsies, which is worrisome, and Brown's banged up. So, but for me, watching what the offensive line did in New Orleans against in my opinion, better pass rush than what Green Bay has. Is that fair to give the New Orleans pass rush?
Yeah.
So, the offensive line, even with Aaron Stinney, who's had 1 start in his life, on that left side next to Donovan Smith, the offensive line is playing FBI protection plan level right now for the Bucs. So for me, I look at that. That's a big aspect of it, and that means that the tight ends will be more freed up. I think this is a game where you're going to see Gronk and Cam Brate be able to really, really have some pivotal catches. Compared to the last 2 weeks against Washington's D-line and the Saints D-line.
That's why I'm taking the over. The Bucs are definitely going to score. Brady's rolling. He's got a lot of weapons, obviously, but
he wants revenge. I do know that because the Bucs smacked him in the regular
I like the word you just used, surgical. I think that Aaron Rodgers is literally having a better season than the MVP season that he won. He's just literally, when you have a quarterback that hot, it's hard to contain him. Even if you look at it and you say, hey, Davante Adams is all he has. We've also seen games this year where Robert Tonyan blows up, and then Alan Lazard has a random blow up game. Now, I don't expect that all those guys are gonna blow up, but Bucs have had their deficiencies in the secondary this year. That's reared its ugly head at some times. I think that maybe not like a monster game from someone like Alan Lazard or MVS, but I think that those guys might have a couple big catches that make the slight difference. And like I said, I'm not confident in this pick at all, but I slight lean there on the Packers. At home, Lambeau Field, I mean, that is a big advantage for a team like that. It's outdoors. It's going to be cold. I get that.
It's going to be cold. We're not expecting snow. Because I'm in just a angry place right now because I'm drinking this beer just to not listen to you. I want you to try the beer. Let's talk about the beer again, Coppertail.
Now, this one is very unique compared to this one.
It tastes completely different. This is their Alpha Hunt series. It's so good. But you're right. It's super different. Like I said, I've had this one.
Is a hazy. Okay, definitely much more citrus. This one, when I take a sip of this, and now you can tell, I don't know if you can see on the video, but This is way more clear. So you're not dealing with a hazy IPA, but this has almost like a Belgian finish, like almost like a weedy, like.
Yeah, I think you taste the wheat a lot more in this. Wheat. Cool.
Yeah, it's just different. It tastes more like a Belgian, German, European style.
Yeah, and
I don't know if it says something about that.
Like I've had it. It's good. And that's the thing, though.
It doesn't really have a description.
One of the things I love about Coppertail, though, is like this is an IPA series. Their Hop Skull is an IPA series. They clearly know the consumer in today's craft beer world is heavy IPA. That doesn't mean they don't make other great beers. I mentioned my dad's one of his favorites is the Night Swim. The Unholy is a very popular one. We've had people reach out. This Dunk was very good too. So they do a lot of other great things outside of that. Ariel, my fiance, actually, and you know her obviously, but for the listeners,
I do know her. Yes, I've met her.
For the listeners, she loves sours, and she always finds a good sour at Coppertail. And like we like sours too, but like I just want to say that even for that type of like thinking and taste buds, like she just enjoys a lot of the beers out there. So Coppertail does a great job at like giving you diversity, but also being heavy on the IPA train, which we appreciate, I think, even more so than usual. So very good. And all these beers are very good. Again, to kind of give you a little rundown, Pax Odeon and Winston Sheffield are part of the Alpha Hunt IPA series. The Dunk was very tasty. The Night Swim, those are the two, I guess, darker beers.
Which was your favorite of today so far?
Man, to be honest with you, I like the Dunk a lot. You know, just, and I don't know, beer's so funny. Beer's like a mood, right? Like same thing with like, same thing with food though. Like you'll be like, man, I could go for a burger, a taco, a piece of pizza. Beer's very similar. And I didn't know this sitting down and popping a top, but like Dunk just hit a spot today that I was just like, I didn't know I needed it. For me, it was Dunk. I'm going to assume for you it was one of the Alpha Hunt IPAs.
Correct. I'm going to say that actually my boy Winston Sheffield, this is probably my favorite one of today. It's hard to go wrong with a nice hazy. Good citrus taste, but it wasn't too thick, wasn't too heavy. It's light. I mean, it's easy to drink. So this is my favorite today.
So I want to clarify. You've both said circle the wagons for the Buffalo Bills and that you are a huge fan of Winston today. That's what I heard. Winston. Sheffield.
We all know I don't like Jameis.
Whoa, dude!
I'm gonna throw one more quick, just rapid fire question at you. Who has the most passing touchdowns of all 4 QBs this week?
And that's a great question. Just from a quarterback standpoint, stacking them up. I mean, look, nobody's going to bet against Patrick Mahomes, I think, in any capacity. You mentioned that Rodgers is having the season he's having. Unfortunately, I think Allen's the easiest decision at 4 in any category that you want to rank them. I think that Mahomes being banged up is going to be in the pocket more. So I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes, especially with Clyde Edwards-Helaire banged up. But I've got Brady as my 2 quarterback this year. Or not this year, this weekend, I should say.
In terms of passing touchdowns?
In terms of passing touchdowns, in terms of performance, in terms of everything. I think that Brady is the 2 guy. And, you know, we'll talk about him and Mahomes maybe in a week or 2. But right now, I love Brady against Rodgers. I love Brady in this game. And I feel similarly about Mahomes on the other side, no matter if he's choked out or whatever. I feel really good about my 2 picks in both the Bucs and the
I'm taking
Chiefs.
the over in both, so I think that both games are going to be high-scoring affairs. I think this is a really good question because I think that you're going to have all 4 quarterbacks play pretty well, in my opinion. And I think that I'm going to agree with you, though. I'm going to say Mahomes, even though I picked the Bills to win, I think that it's just because even though I think they're going to outscore them, there might be a rushing touchdown or 2 in there from Josh Allen or Zach Moss or whoever they throw down there at the goal line. But I think that the Chiefs offense runs the most through the arm of their quarterback than any of the 4 teams, except maybe the Packers, but Aaron Rodgers or Aaron Jones gets his every now and then. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs as far as the most passing touchdowns.
We have completely separate Super Bowl picks then as far as this podcast goes, vlog.
Yeah.
You have Bills, Packers. I have
Bills, Packers.
Bucs, Chiefs.
Love it.
I'll drink to that.
Can't wait to revisit this.
I'm
9-1 straight up, so we'll see. We'll see. The Bucs,
the team that's burned you.
Yeah, you're right.
You're looking to get burned again.
They could get burned again. I'm playing with fire here. It's all right. And you know, if there's any Bucs fans out there that want to jump on my ass and give me some shit for last week, that's fair. And but we'll see how this week goes. Doubling down. Again, it's dangerous, but could pay off.
Oppositely, I apologize, Thomas. Should never picked against you. This is the Craft Beer Playbook, episode 3. Coppertail Brewery, shout out to you for all the great beers that you kick out. Again, the Alpha Hunt IPA series has been phenomenal today. Unholy, always a good call. Night Swim, also one that we have, that I especially love, near and dear to my heart. The Dunk was a nice little extra.
The Dunkle.
So shout out to them. Shout out to the NFL playoffs. Next week, we're hoping to get on the road, but we already know we're going to give some love to Calusa Brewery because our guy Sarasota Hazy.
Sarasota Hazy, I love it. And, he loves his style, and I love hazies. You love hazies. We're diving in, baby. I can't wait for that one.
Sports is hazy, which is part of the reason we like that.
Exactly.
Don't forget to follow us at the Craft Beer Playbook on both Instagram and Facebook, at Beer Playbook on Twitter, thecraftbeerplaybook.com if you want to check out the site. We got everything up on there. You can find all the other stuff.
Podcast, baby. Download it. Listen.
Download it on Spotify, Apple, everywhere you find podcasts. Listen, subscribe, like, all that. We made it easy. We wanted to add the audio in the mix. And then Untapped, by the way, if you're on Untapped, you're a craft beer drinker, listener, whatever, we've got you on there. If you add the Craft Beer Playbook, we will add you back. Happy to be friends and drink with you on there. All right, man, it's been fun.
Cheers. And we're empty. We got nothing to cheers. Well, wait. We have a little bit left. Grab that one. Here we go.
Which one do you want?
Cheers. Straight from the can, baby. See you later.
I'm out.